Welcome to the eCommerce Badassery podcast, the place for scrappy female entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the eCommerce Badassery podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster. If you're new here, I want to take a quick moment and say thanks so much for hanging out with me. If we met on Instagram or Clubhouse, I really appreciate you making the extra effort to come over to another platform, and I hope you find tons of value in the podcast. And to my OGs, you know I'm so grateful you tune in each week. And I get super giddy with every new rating, review, and DM telling me how much you loved the show. Ooh, and one more thing before we hop into the content, and that's don't forget that every Thursday at 2 p.m. PST, I'll be live in the eCommerce Badassery Facebook group and on Instagram to go deeper into today's topic, answer any questions you have, or brainstorm about your specific business. All right, let's get into today's episode. It's going to be a short one, and it's a little tough love today, but I know you appreciate that for me, so I'm here to give it to you. The other day, I was chatting with a biz friend who also works with product-based businesses, just in a bit of a different capacity than I do, but we have some of the same entrepreneurs in our audience, and we often chat with each other and help each other brainstorm for our clients so we can support them as much as possible. The other day, we were brainstorming on a shared client and how we can best help her push her business forward. And what we discovered through that conversation, not only about this particular client, but many entrepreneurs in the product space who are struggling to grow their business, even if they've already been in business for years, is that one of the main reasons their business isn't growing at the rate they'd like it to is that they're focused on the wrong things. So they're focused on all the back-end stuff, having the perfect website and the perfect email, agonizing over their brand messaging, their product packaging, tinkering with all the things. But what they weren't focused on was visibility, getting in front of their ideal customer, doing brand collaborations, creating content for social media, engaging with their audience. And here's the deal. The website, the product packaging, your emails, that stuff is all important, 100% for sure. It matters. I mean, you know how I feel about email. But if you've only got 100 people who are seeing your website or reading your emails, no amount of optimization is going to help you. Now, that's not to say you should always be chasing vanity metrics like the number of followers you have or the number of subscribers on your list. 1,000 true fans is so much more important than 10,000 fans that don't want what you're buying. But you've got to be realistic. E-commerce is often a numbers game. The average e-commerce website only converts at 1 to 3%. Sure, some will convert up to 5% or so. But even at the high side, for every 100 people that hit your website, only 5 of them are going to make a purchase. Not to mention, with so little traffic, email subscribers, you don't have enough data or feedback to even know what you do have to optimize. So you may spend all this time redoing your website, trying to segment your list better, updating your product packaging, and that might not even be the problem. And look, we're all guilty of this, myself included. When I first started eCommerce Badassery, I wasted so much fucking time tinkering with my website and every damn pixel. And really, that was just me hiding behind the tech, not stepping up to show up for my business and the people who needed my services. And just a year or so later, I completely revamped the damn thing anyway. This obsession with perfection is really just a mask for fear. Fear that we'll be judged or ridiculed. Fear that our product isn't good enough. Fear that we're not good enough. And just to drive this whole perfectionism thing home, in the words of Michael Hyatt, Perfectionism is the mother of procrastination. And Brené Brown said it best, perfectionism is self-destructive because there's no such thing as perfect. Perfection is an unattainable goal. What's the moral of the story here? When you're prioritizing what's next in your business and where you're going to be spending your time or where you're going to have your team spend their time, please, please, please make sure it makes sense for your business and where you're at right now. I love that you are dedicated to your business and that you want to constantly improve and all that jazz. It's amazing that you're always learning and trying new things. That's what entrepreneur life is all about. But time is your most precious commodity. So it's really important that you're putting that effort where it's going to count. And when you're still trying to establish your business, catch traction, and build it, a lot of that time is going to be spent on acquiring new customers. And truth be told, how long your business has been around has little to do with this decision. Because there are some e-com businesses that have been running for years, but still don't have solid revenue numbers and are just struggling to grow. If you're not sure where you're at and how much time you should be spending on trying to acquire new customers, listen to episode 10 of the eCommerce Badassery podcast, where I break this down a little bit more for you. The link to that episode will be in the show notes. The other thing we discovered is that so many of us, and I say us because seriously, every entrepreneur struggles with this at some point, or should I say many points in their journey, are questioning what we're doing in our business based on the opinions of people who are not our ideal customer or who are not successful business owners or marketers. And here's the thing. Those people totally have your best interest at heart. It's because they love you and want to see you succeed, and they probably don't realize that they're giving you bad advice. I talked about this before in another episode, and I don't remember which one, but when I was getting ready to quit my 9-to-5 job, I didn't tell my mother about it until it was already done. Because she's not a self-employed individual, and she's my mom, so of course she's going to worry about me. And she has the same story in her head, just like I used to, that having a 9-to-5 gives you security, blah, blah, blah. All the crap we as entrepreneurs know is actually bullshit. I think I also told the story of me and a friend who realized as two single girls, we should stop giving each other dating advice. And one last example, and then I'll stop harping on this, is would you take financial advice from a broke person who's in debt and can't pay their bills? No, you probably wouldn't. So look, if the only people you have in your circle are those who have never done what you're doing, are not where you want to be, or aren't your ideal customer, then you need a new circle. Not to say you cut everyone else out of your life, just stop talking to those people about business. And one last note here. Once you are in a room with the right people who have the wisdom to share with you, make sure you're open to hearing it. If we want to grow our business, we have to be coachable. We have to realize that we don't know it all, that we might be too close to our business to see things clearly, and that if what we're already doing on our own hasn't gotten us to our desired destination, it's possible that we're getting in our own way. So here's what I want you to take away from today's episode. First off, if you see yourself in what I'm talking about, don't beat yourself up. Every entrepreneur goes through this. 2, we have to be brutally honest with ourselves. Are we resisting the things that will truly move our business forward? And if we are, why is that? Everyone is going to be a bit different, but for me, as soon as I can recognize something and say it out loud, it's much easier for me to move past it and change my behavior. For you, it might be something deeper that you need to work on, but the first step in anything is just recognizing the problem. If you're not sure if this is you, start tracking the amount of time that you're spending working on the back-end tasks that don't actually make you money versus the marketing and visibility piece. If you're spending more time tinkering with your website than you are getting eyes on your business, it's likely you're spending time in the wrong place. And lastly, surround yourself with the right people. This can be a biz bestie, a Facebook group of other e-commerce entrepreneurs, or maybe you need a more structured mastermind or group coaching program so you can stop working in a silo all by yourself. Whatever you decide to do, Remember that none of it works if you don't put it into action, if you don't actually hear the feedback that you're being given. And at the end of the day, if you think you know everything best, then don't you think you'd already be where you want to go? And you know what? It's going to be uncomfortable to ask for help. It's going to be uncomfortable when you have to admit that you were doing it wrong. It's going to be uncomfortable when you realize that you've been hiding behind the tech because you're afraid to put yourself out there. But in the words of Christy Sumer, a recent guest on the podcast, if you're comfortable as an entrepreneur, you're doing something wrong. Please know that everything I say today is said with love and serves as a reminder to myself too. No one is immune to going through this, even those who look like they have it all together on the outside. Thank you again for spending your time with me today. I hope I've inspired you to take a good look at how you're showing up in your business and that you can totally do this. You just need to do more of the right things. And on that note, I'm out, and I'll see you on the flip side, friend. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking to surround yourself with more product entrepreneurs who totally get your life right now, get your booty on over to the eCommerce Badassery Facebook group. Can't wait to see you there. Until next time, e-commerce friends, stay badass.